everybody, and welcome back.
I moved my chair. Try one more time.
Damn it. Keep us in.
Yes.
Okay. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Two Show Day. I'm your host, Diana Shabai Booker, and I am joined, as always, for Hot Takes by my producer, Mike McCord.
I don't know what we're doing. I'm unprepared.
So we recorded our last Hot Takes when we talked about the golden age of musicals. And after we recorded that, I put out to our Instagram story, I said, do you have any hot takes? And because our listeners and viewers are so smart and also think deeply about theater and art, we got some really good responses. And some of these, like, you guys should look at my notes that I have for these. I have notes today because Mike had notes last time. So I have notes this time.
Mike had a note card in which, if you recall, he had a note card where he wrote "Sound of Music" (parentheses question mark). So like,
so that's what his notes look like, and these are what my notes look like.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go through all these. There are some really good questions in here that I think warrant a lot of discussion. So maybe this will be two parts. If you see us in another episode wearing the same clothes, don't worry about it. That's what happens. So I'm just going to go through these in the order that we got them. So from Dan's question was, is Andrew Lloyd Webber as good as he thinks he is?
No.
I was going to say, let's answer at the same time. But no, my first point.
Sorry. No, the answer is no. Moving on. Next question.
Do you want to give any time to Andrew Lloyd Webber here?
No, we should give time to Andrew Lloyd Webber.
A little bit. So my first point is that Andrew Lloyd Webber is only a composer, not like only, but
sure,
only a composer, not a lyricist. So he gets a lot of comparisons to Sondheim, who did both, but that's not really fair.
Yeah.
Webber works with a lyricist. It's been Tim Rice in a lot of cases, or somebody else that I can't think of the name of right now.
This is the level of prepared I'm bringing. Probably. Listen, we talked I think maybe in our first Hot Takes episode, we talked about how there are terrible. Sorry, let me try again. Not so much terrible. There are terrible shows but those terrible shows are the way in for people, right? I
mean,
as you all may recall, my first show was Cats.
Yeah. That was a great cat story.
An Andrew Lloyd Webber joint.
That's right.
And, and great. So cool. Andrew Lloyd Webber, he does the thing. He sells the tickets.
He does sell the tickets. Yeah, that's what I said. I'm not going to pretend like all Andrew Lloyd Webber work is crap. Jesus Christ Superstar is pretty great. I admit that. I've seen it multiple times. Joseph in the Amazing Color Dreamcoat, though I think is insane, is a community theater staple. And so I'm not going to shit on everybody's first musical because, it's just a children's chorus, and that's definitely a way in.
Right. Well, listen, as a tenor who likes to sing the high notes, you can't go wrong with Phantom. Mm-hmm. You can't go wrong. Close Every Door. It's so good, right? Yeah. And Donny Osmond doing Close Every Door.
Right.
I will tell you, the worst audition I ever had. Oh, no. It was the first audition in a long time. It was for She Loves Me. Mm-hmm. And I went in and I was going to do the Donny Osmond version of Close Every Door. And it goes up to like a really high beat. And I like practiced it. I was ready to go. And then I walked into the thing and I gave myself, it was a G minor chord. I remember, gave myself the G minor chord. And then my brain just went, nuh-uh. No, you can't. And I went, and then there was another person in the audition trying to be very helpful, started to sing the song. I think she thought that I'd forgotten the words. So she started to try to help me to sing, but sang in a different key. And I was like, no.
I was going to ask, was it that you forgot the words or just everything fell out?
The song did not exist in my brain. The entirety of the song just went woohoo. And I came home and I said to my ex-wife, that was the worst audition I've ever had. And then I got the lead and She Left Me.
They said this guy is dorky and endearing, and that's what we want.
Yeah.
I love She Loves Me.
Yeah, it's such a good show.
Good show. Yes. What else did I write here? I said, I also think Phantom is good, but I think it's dated, and that's a big flaw of Andrew Lloyd Webber musicals. He uses this synthesizer and like other trendy instruments that when you hear it, it's not like this big orchestral piece that could last forever. It's like this was written in the 80s. Right.
Yeah. And the juxtaposition between like Phantom of the Opera, where it's got like the synth and the guitars and all the thing, and then you get to Masquerade. Like Masquerade is a very classical Broadway, big choruses, high notes, And I don't know if maybe the decision was because of what was happening on stage. Like it was meant to be a very like hoity-toity party that they're all at, right?
Sure.
So maybe that was his compositional motivation. But yeah, I remember learning about Phantom of the Opera when I was in high school, learning the fact that he wrote the part of Christine for his then wife, Sarah Brightman. Now, in retrospect, my question should have been, really? Sarah Brightman married him?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, he said, I looked him up on Wikipedia today, he said 3 wives.
Sure.
Yeah.
All women.
All women.
How about
yes,
that?
I know. Who knew?
Who would have guessed?
Maybe not him. Okay. So he's got some hits for sure, but definitely lately, he's gone off the deep end.
Oh.
School of Rock, Bad Cinderella.
Decade.
Those comments he made at the closing of Cinderella before it was Bad Cinderella, where he called the show a costly mistake in front of the cast who were all about to lose their jobs. So that's good. There's the Patty story. Should I tell the Patty story? Does everybody know the Patty story?
I know Patty LaPone
Patty LaPone Patty. So Patty was in Evita. In the title role of Evita.
I recall.
She won her first Tony Award.
Yes.
Accepted that Tony in a suit, very sweaty, pretty sure, totally coked out. Anyway, that's not the point.
As you do.
So they have this existing relationship with the success of Evita. Later, Sunset Boulevard comes along in Andrew Lloyd Webber's career and decides to cast Patty as Norma Desmond. So the show opens in London first to lukewarm reviews.
Okay.
Patty has a contract that says if the show goes to Broadway, I am Norma, or I get first right of refusal, or whatever. Andrew Lloyd Webber freaks out about these reviews. Behind Patty's back, casts Glenn Close as Norma Desmond in the Broadway production. Patty finds out about this through the trade papers, through Variety or something like that, and sues him for breach of contract. But they settled outside of court for $1 million. And with this money, Patty builds, and there's a photo of this in her memoir, the Andrew Lloyd Webber Memorial Swimming Pool, which is in her yard in Connecticut.
That's amazing.
I know.
I mean, we were talking about being petty. Petty
Nobody
Patty.
does it than Patty.
Petty
Yeah.
Patty. Whoa.
So, I mean, and she's talked very openly about her feelings for him. She said he just wants to be Sondheim, things like that. But she also, I think the relationship has gotten better. A few years ago, I want to say it was 2018 or so, there was a tribute to him at the Grammys, and she came and sang Don't Cry For Me, Argentina then, and very publicly. And so, and she killed it because, of course, she did.
Because she's Patty LaPone, yeah.
Yep. So if Patty doesn't like somebody, why should I like somebody?
Fair. Just confirm for me, ALW.
ALW.
Nailed it.
Andrew Lloyd Webber.
He was the composer for Love Never Dies?
Yes. The sequel to Phantom of the Opera.
The sequel to Phantom of the Opera. Listen, that right there should tell you all that you need to know about Andrew Lloyd Webber.
Yeah, he did a sequel to a musical.
Did a sequel to a musical. Did a sequel to a musical. Did a sequel to Phantom of the Opera, which was like not an unknown story or work.
Correct.
Quite famous, in fact.
Yep.
And then he wrote, or someone wrote, I don't know who actually wrote the script or the story.
They should be happy we're not mentioning their name
I
right
mean,
now.
probably because Coney Island?
Oh, man. It's crazy. And Christine as a secret child with the Phantom. Spoiler alert. You should be happy I'm spoiling this for you.
Oh, don't ever see it.
And then, I can't even remember. Is it Raoul has a drinking problem and somebody shoots Christine and she dies?
Listen, this is like when Harper Lee released the sequel to Mockingbird.
I have not read it.
I haven't either.
Yeah.
And they were like, surprise, in this one, Atticus Finch is a racist. And you're like, well, what?
Right. Remember last episode where we talked about how artists shouldn't get to say what happens to their characters after the work is released?
Yeah.
Same.
That one.
Copy paste.
All same thing. Andrew Lloyd Webber, don't. Stop it.
All right. Thank you, Dan, for that question. Good one. We always love to crap on Andrew Lloyd Webber.
Oh, okay. It's the best.
Next one, this is from Roberto. He asks, has Broadway really gotten boring, or have I, as an adult, moved on to more nuanced entertainment?
Ooh.
So we're going to tackle movie adaptations in another question, but I definitely think that's a big part of it, that content maybe isn't as exciting because a lot of musicals are just existing IPs, so they don't seem like...
Yeah.
Yeah,
I read a review. It was the local review in the Times Union about Shucked, which was just at Proctor's as of the time of this recording. And I didn't love Shucked. It was not the show for me. And during that show, I texted our boss and I said, so this is Music Man. And she went, what? And I went, first of all, the set looks like the old-timey, like, slanted set of music, man. Somewhere I read that was...
And they have a very literal homage to Trouble, where the guy stands up and he's dictating, talking very fast.
So I'm watching the thing, and I'm just like, okay, so this is like an out-of-town shyster comes in and is trying to, like, pull a fast one on the town.
Right.
Right, this is Music Man. Mm-hmm. And in the review, the reviewer said, it's so nice, so refreshing that there is an original story on Broadway. Now, I said this to our boss, and she said, well, I suspect what she meant is it's not existing IP, right? It's not a movie turned into a musical, or it's not a book or a thing. It was, an original, like someone had this idea to say, like, okay, we're going to do this thing. It isn't a thing before we do this thing.
Right.
To which I said to our boss, yeah, they wrote that musical to base it on Hee Haw. There's a TV show called Hee Haw. So you go, because it's a not a ripoff. I mean, it was supposed to be a musical version of Hee Haw, and then the people who own the IP for Hee Haw were like, no, because evidently Hee Haw is a brand that needs to be protected.
Apparently, yeah.
So I call shenanigans on any argument that there is an original thing out there. Mm-hmm. I was trying to find this the other day after I read this, and I was indignant and wanted just to be able to argue to anyone who would listen.
Yep.
There's like 6 original stories, or like it's like a shockingly small number.
Yes.
Right. And there hasn't been an original story since Shakespeare, and you could even argue that, like, Shakespeare, all of Shakespeare's stories, none of them were original ideas, if you look at it broadly enough, you know. So I don't know. What I appreciate about theater is stuff that's done creatively, stuff that even if it is, derivative of something else, it still makes you go, huh, okay. I saw Lehman Brothers, the Lehman trilogy last night, right? I mean, it's a rags to riches story. It's, the sort of proto rags to riches story in terms of America, right? But I mean, the way that it was told, the twists and turns of that story, I think, were interesting.
Yeah.
So I would argue maybe Roberto is just not looking at the right stuff.
Yeah. So my notes are that I'm a big believer in seeing things more than once, and that goes for theaters and that goes for other art forms like movies too. To give 2 examples, I enjoy Fiddler more and more as I get older. It's set in my ways, ? But the first time I saw it was a community theater production.
Yeah.
And while they were doing the best what they could, it was a community theater production of Fiddler, and I was sitting far away, and the seat was uncomfortable, and like blah, blah, blah. So the next time I saw it, which was here, a professional production, I was like, oh, this is very good.
Yeah.
So I totally believe in that. Another example is the movie Phantom Thread. Have you seen this movie? Daniel Day-Lewis. It's a Paul Thomas Anderson movie. Daniel Day-Lewis is a tailor.
I'm familiar. He is a tailor, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I have not seen it, but I'm aware of it.
Yeah, hated it the first time I saw it. I tried to watch all the Best Picture nominations, and it was like the bottom of my list this year. And I just watched it again for the first time, and incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So whether I'm different, or it's a different mindset, or I just realized Daniel Day-Lewis is super hot in that role, whatever it is,
it can be all 3.
Yeah, you should see things more than once.
Right. Can I also, but I also, I mean, the reverse is true, right? Like, there is stuff that I saw, when I was younger that I was just like, oh my God. I mean, maybe because I've seen, okay, so this might be sacrilege. I mean, this is a hot take. Like, I love Rent. I don't need to see Rent again.
Yeah,
like,
I feel that.
I mean, I appreciate Rent for what it is. I think it's a really, there are beautiful moments with that. Yeah. But like, okay.
Yeah. I'm not going to see Rent again until they do something new with it.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. I also know, like, there's a lot of like internet stuff where it's like people going back and watching like the TV show they loved when they were 7, and you're just oh, this is terrible.
Oh my God. Jeremiah and I rewatched recently The Master of Disguise with Dana Carvey. Don't rewatch it. Oh. Just don't. Leave it in that nostalgic place if you have a nostalgic place for it.
But the same principle, right? Like when you watch a thing, you're watching it in that moment of your life, and as your life evolves or devolves or whatever, that thing can change. So.
Right. Totally.
Yeah.
I also personally, at least, I've developed kind of different sets of expectations or criteria when I go into a show. So like if I walk into a Les Mis or a Lehman trilogy, something that is advertising itself as kind of an epic, I want epic 10s across the board. I want performances, story, technical aspects. I want to be blown away by all of that, right? If I walk into a jukebox musical, I'm not expecting the story to be good.
Right.
I want great performances of classic songs. And if I get that, I'm kind of satisfied. For something like Six, which is like basically a concert, I want a good time and I want catchy songs, whether I know those songs or not. Yep. But for most modern musicals, especially movie adaptations, I'm just kind of looking for a good time in that moment.
Yeah.
Like, for two recent examples, Mrs. Doubtfire and Tootsie can't sing you a single song, but I remember having a good time when I saw them.
Yeah.
Could I really tell you what they're about outside of the movie plot? Not even a little bit.
Right.
Right? So I think all of those are valid experiences to have.
Sure.
Some shows are like the Mount Rushmore of musicals and some are not. That's fine. Sometimes you're in the mood for steak. Sometimes you're in the mood for mozzarella sticks. Both of those are still food and you can still enjoy them, but I don't want one when I'm expecting the other.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah. So to get back to Roberto's question, this doesn't totally answer, but like I'm not expecting Chekhov every time I walk into the theater. No. But I also get that Broadway especially can be expensive and patrons have to be choosy when they're selecting tickets. So you just kind of have to, I think, know yourself and know what you're hungry for.
Yeah.
If Broadway isn't interesting you, then check out Off-Broadway or even local community theaters that focus more on doing plays than musicals. You there still can totally be great performances out of community theater if that's more your budget. But I think to what you were saying earlier, how you're into, a creatively staged thing, one of the most exciting things for me about theater is that it's not easily definable. It doesn't have to check a certain number of boxes. It can kind of be anything with a live element to it. Yeah.
Sure. I think that, we're very lucky in that obviously we live and breathe Broadway all day, every day, whether we want to or not, whether we're in the mood for it or not, here comes Broadway.
Right.
And the CEO and our CEO is a Tony voter.
Yep. And
to vote in a category, in any given category, you have to have seen all of the shows in that category. I think they may have just changed this rule, but for a long time, this was the rule. Like if there are, 5 shows that are nominated, you can't see 4 of them. Like you have to see all 5 in order to be eligible to vote.
Yep.
And the challenge there for Philip is that you don't necessarily know which shows are going to be nominated, so you have to see literally everything.
Yep.
Like you can't skip a show.
Right.
That gives us a unique opportunity because we can say to Philip, like, hey, how's this thing? Like, did you see this thing? When I was in the city in January and I had a free Monday night and there were a handful of shows, more than I expected. There was like 12 shows that were playing on a Monday night in New York, which was surprising. Yeah. And I showed the list to Jean and I said, if you were going to see one of these shows, what would it be?
Yeah.
And the one that she picked was a show that was not playing on a Monday night. So I saw Wicked. So fine. Okay. But again, we have that opportunity to talk to somebody and be like, hey, what do you think about this?
Yeah.
For me personally, what I would say to Roberto is if there is a show that you're kind of like, maybe I want it, maybe that one, try to find somebody who's seen it or, as much as you can without spoiling it.
Yeah.
Learn about, I like to know a little bit about what got the show to where it is or what is sort of the undergirding of the thing.
Right.
Everybody you hate watching movies with me because I'm just, as soon as the movie starts, I'm just like, let's look at the IMDb trivia on this. Who's that? Who's this person married to? They were in this movie. And I'm
what
just,
episode of Friends was this person
exactly
in?
Right.
I recognize them every time.
Exactly right. Yeah. Yeah. So.
Yeah, that's good. Someone that you trust their opinion and you have similar tastes or how that person thinks, then if they really liked it, then go there. Sometimes I hear what people think of shows and I'm like, cool. Okay. And it's like, I don't have similar tastes to them. So it's like, I'm glad you had a good time or I'm sorry you didn't have a good time, but I know that our things won't line up. So
we have Lehman Trilogy at Capitol Rep right now, and every single person who has seen it has said almost exactly the same thing, which is it does not feel like 3 hours.
They all have great taste. That's why.
They do.
Yeah.
But it's also it's so true. And what I found is somebody said this to me yesterday, and I won't say the person's name, but the person who said it to me, and I was just like, I feel like I would hate their opinion, but they have the same opinion as everybody else. I feel like that gives it more credibility somehow. And they were right.
There you go.
So is everyone else.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
All right. That's a good question. Okay. Moving on to the next one. This one's from Barb. Hi, Mom.
Hi, Barb.
We talked about this in the car already, but we're going to talk about it anyway. Mom's hot take was movie stars on Broadway are greater than, she did the greater than symbol, Broadway stars in the movies.
Movie stars on Broadway
Yep.
are greater than...
Broadway stars in the movies.
Is that her take or is that her question? I mean, is that what she's arguing?
From discussing this with her in the car, I believe that is her opinion. Yeah. I said box office wise, definitely.
Yeah, I think that's where I was stuck. I was like...
Right now, we have 3 examples of plays on Broadway that have Hollywood actors with ridiculous ticket prices.
Ugh.
So we have Good Night and Good Luck with George Clooney.
Yep.
We have Othello with Denzel Washington and Jake Gyllenhaal. And Glengarry Glen Ross with Kieran Culkin, Bob Odenkirk, Michael McKean, Bill Burr. So we got...
Bill Burr?
Bill Burr is in Glengarry Glen Ross right now.
The ABC always be seeing Bill Burr and Glengarry Glen Ross. I could never be in that show because I could never say Glengarry Glen Ross. Like I always have to go. It's like I'm drunk. Glengarry Glen Ross.
Yeah, and Othello's making headlines right now because there's a top $900 ticket price.
Did you hear the story about the New York Post reviewer?
I did, but please tell it. My
favorite thing that has happened in Broadway in the last 2 weeks that the New York Post reviewer came out and called bullshit on, like, I can't believe they're $900 tickets, and he made a big fuss about it, which, like, I don't blame the guy. I mean, that's stupid. And the show, they rescinded his free ticket. They rescinded his reviewer ticket, but he still had to review the show, so he had to pay $900 to see the show.
And then I think he published his review early.
Yeah.
In retaliation.
Yeah.
So, which is good. Because also I've heard rumors of I think it was their invited dress rehearsal. It wasn't quite previews, but Denzel was calling line.
Oh no.
Right.
I hadn't heard that.
And it's for Shakespeare. You can get access to this material ahead of time.
Yeah.
Guy.
Ooh.
Yeah. And I've seen Jake Gyllenhaal on stage. I saw him in Sunday in the Park with George, that last revival, and I thought he was great, but $900 is...
I didn't know he could sing. He could sing Sondheim?
Yeah.
Did he do it?
It was George. Yeah. I thought he was really good.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm a sucker for that show, but I thought it was well done. Yeah.
But painting the hat is like my...
Finishing the hat.
That's what I said.
Yeah. But, okay, so definitely box office success, and all of these plays are doing $2-3 million a week, which is stupid. Right. But does that mean artistic success?
Well, that's what I was saying. I was trying to think of, a Broadway star in a movie, and in this spur of the moment, I can't think of one.
Yeah, I have a couple of examples that did well in their specific movie, right? Like Joel Grey played the MC in Cabaret, won the Oscar. Yep. Ariana DeBose played Anita in West Side Story. Yep. She won the Oscar for that. But
that's a musical movie. I mean, those are both musical movies.
Musical movies, absolutely. And they didn't necessarily, Ariana DeBose is still young, but go on to have huge movie careers after that initial success. Right. So, but I also have a list of actors that started in the theater and made their way to movies. Yep. And these are all household names.
Butternut Crinkle Fries.
Butternut Crinkle Fries.
Benedict Cumberbatch.
Oh my God. He's not even on my list.
Yeah. But he's an example.
Absolutely. Yeah. Ian McKellen, Patrick Stewart, Christopher Plummer, Tim Curry, Andrew Scott, Natalie Portman, Sarah Jessica Parker, Morgan Freeman, Patrick Swayze, John Goodman, Emma Thompson. We've all heard of all these people, right?
Butternut Crinkle Fries.
Butternut Crinkle Fries. Oh my God, yeah. Did you see the National Theater live production of Frankenstein?
Where
he and Johnny Lee Miller switched?
I did not see the movie. No,
it's good.
The show.
Yeah, it's.
I've only ever heard good things about it.
Yeah, it's good.
I guess what I would say to Barb, hi Barb, is I think that I will absolutely say there are movie stars who can, slum it on Broadway and really knock it out of the park. I think that a good actor is a good actor is a good actor. I know there's a huge difference between acting on a stage versus acting in front of a camera. Mm-hmm. And there's lots of funny stories about all that stuff, but I think it's a one-way, it's basically a one-way trip, right? I don't think you're if you are a Broadway person and then you become a movie star, even if you go back to Broadway, then you're a movie person being on Broadway, even if that's where you started, right? Yeah. All of those people that you listed, those are all they're movie stars.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yep.
and it's always like, did you get your start in the theater? And I've heard people say, well, I worked in the theater and I've worked in film and I do both.
I think sometimes when you cast a Hollywood star, especially somebody of the Denzel or Jake Gyllenhaal, Oscar winner or nominee fame, part of it is just you get to pay to look at a celebrity.
Oh, yeah.
And like going to the zoo, right? It like kind of doesn't matter what kind of artistic integrity we get out of it, because like that's what people they're paying to stare at somebody.
That was Hugh Jackman in Music Man.
Yep.
He did that Wolverine pose, and I was like, that's the best part of the show. That's
you should do that in every curtain call.
I know he should. He should. I just sort of adjacent to that, and not really theater related, but something that I think is worth mentioning. The other thing that aggravates me that's sort of along the same line is when they will do cartoon movies and they will cast a movie star like a pretty face in a voice role.
Yep.
And there are so many unbelievably talented voice actors that could have done Mario.
Chris Pratt.
Better than
Chris Pratt is Garfield?
Come on.
Why are we... Please. You've got... Listen, Frank Welker has been the voice of Freddy in Scooby-Doo forever. There's never been another Freddy... Really?
For more than 50 years. Wow. He has been Freddy.
That's it.
What was Frank Welker's other? I mean, he's got thousands of credits. He was the bird, the monkey in Aladdin.
Oh, okay.
I mean, amongst 1,000 other things.
Sure.
Right? But like, I don't know. I remember when Cars came out, and I was like, Owen Wilson. All right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fine. And I mean, now there's like 14 Cars movies, and like he's he's synonymous with the part. You can't really like separate it, but like. I don't know. There's a lot of voice actors who could have really killed that.
I know.
But it wouldn't have had the box office draw, which is, of course, why they do the names, and I get it. But
but it's like, just like, what's the target audience for that? Like, do you think, I don't know.
Like especially a 9-year-old is going to be like, Owen Wilson isn't voicing Lightning McQueen, I'm out.
Right. Or like people are like, oh, Chris Pratt is Mario. Yeah, I'm definitely going to go see that for that reason.
Yeah.
It's like, no. I went to see that movie despite that.
Yeah.
And they just had him do a Boston accent.
Which
was
very weird.
Matt Damon and Ben Affleck exist already. Like, why did we...
And you know that the guy who did the voice of Mario was in that movie.
Yeah, he made like a cameo, right?
Yeah, he was their dad. Right? He played Mario's dad, which of course is like a nice little tribute thing. Okay, fine.
Right.
But like he had... There was like some video game at the very, like an arcade cabinet or something at the very beginning where he goes, woohoo!
Right,
like,
that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah. Charles Martinet is his name, and he just retired from the role.
Oh, because they kicked him out?
Well, I don't know. I mean, he would tell you that he made the decision.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good. Yeah. I mean, some of the casting in that movie is like Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong.
Brilliant.
That was awesome.
Brilliant.
Or Jack Black as Bowser.
Absolutely.
Also great, I think.
The Peaches song is great.
Yeah.
Charlie Day as Luigi. Yes. I can get behind that.
Sure. But like...
Chris Pratt was... And didn't he say something like, he was like, you're not going to believe what I do with this Mario voice. And he's like, this is my voice, just with a little bit of a turn on the end.
Right. No, it's the same. It's not like how like Robert Pattinson can just like do something that doesn't sound like him at all. It's not like we hired... Anyway, okay. We'll get off the Chris Pratt hate train.
Here at Hot Takes, we'll take on any form of entertainment.
Anything. I don't
Video
care.
games, movies, voice acting, Broadway.
Name a white man.
We'll kill him. On him. So we went in different directions. I don't know why I, as a white man, decided to murder.
Well, you went all the way there.
You know, I just...
Oh, man. All right.
Two Show Day is hosted by Diana Shabai Booker. It is produced by Diana and Collaborative Studios. It is produced and edited by me, Michael McCord, and recorded at Open Stage Media Studios. It is distributed by Collaborative Studios. Two Show Day is independently owned by Diana. Any opinions expressed herein are not necessarily the opinions of Open Stage Media, Collaborative Studios, Proctor's Collaborative, or any of its affiliates or partners. Want to contact Two Show Day? Find all our social media at linktr.ee/2showday or send an email to twoshowdaypodcast@gmail.com. If you would like to become a part of the Collaborative Studios network, please contact us at collaborativestudios@proctors.org.